mortgage?
No, per month. £250,000 mortgage. What does that work out as, Jay?
250 grand, say 6%, 9 grand a year, 750 quid a month.
Yeah. What?
No, that's
No.
250,000 yeah?
You're probably looking about 19.
6% a year back on
Yeah,
that.
you're looking at £2,000 a month.
Be 150 grand, yeah? Divided, sorry, 15 grand a year. So divided by 12, it would be
1100, 1200.
Okay. So if you can afford to take that kind of hit on a monthly basis, then great, go for those kind of properties. The other thing you need to remember then is the fact that you'll need to put money into them as well. Yeah. So if I came to you and said, I've got a cracking house, it's in Nottingham, it's a 4-bed or a 5-bed property with a spare reception room downstairs to make it a 6-bed HMO, it already has a HMO licence and it's going to cost you 120,000 and it'll pay you around about £1,500 a month, take off costs, you're looking around about £900 a month profit. What seems more appealing? Between the £250,000 that you've got to put equity in, or capital into as well to transfer it into a HMO. You know, there are companies out there that do source.
I would say that, to go back to your point in the beginning, and that is that HMOs are a lot to manage.
They are problematic. They're not the easiest. You know, I'd never say to an investor, HMOs are the only way to go. Get that as your first investment. They're not. You know, there is paperwork involved. You need to understand the rulings, the legislation on it, and things like that. But to have within your portfolio, they're great. But the downside of HMOs is trying to sell them, because who wants to buy a HMO? No, but if you ever have to, if somebody purely does HMOs, the problem you have is no one else wants to buy them apart from landlords. Or is a landlord ever going to pay you above the odds on a HMO? No, because they'll know you've made a profit on it. So that's why I always say have a good mixture. You know, AJ's got HMOs that pay him a fortune. So people say, well, why don't you just purely buy HMOs? Well, if you ever need to get equity out of them or sell them, no one wants to buy them. No, you know, apart from another landlord, and they're not going to pay above the odds for a HMO. So that's why we always have a mixture. Property investment companies that look at properties £250,000 above, sorry, but to me it doesn't work. Simple as that. Who's gone to an Inside Track seminar? Spent money with Inside Track? Anyone? Heard of it? Anyone heard of Inside Track? Yeah. Anyone deal with them? Would anyone want to deal with them if they hadn't gone into liquidation? What they do is new build stuff and £250,000 and above. You know, yeah, it's going to rent out for £1,200 a month. No, it isn't. You know, yes, it's going to make you a fortune. No, it isn't. It just looks nice saying I bought a property for £250,000 and I'm a landlord. More fool you. Buy 5 at £50,000. Then you're an investor. You know, and that's what it's all about. Minimise your risk, minimise your investment. The cheaper they are, the better they are. You know, I'd rather have 10 at 50,000 than 1 at, or 2 at £250,000 each. Because you don't want to take a void on a £250,000 mortgage, do you? Yeah. So.
You don't get a void because when you get a void, you don't take a hit for the whole rental income. Somebody moves out and the rivers are vacant for a few months. Not everybody moves out.
No, I know, but what I mean is when you actually initially buy a property like that, yes, great. If you know exactly what you're doing and you get tenants in there from day one, so end of the month when your mortgage payment is due, you're also getting a rental check. If that's what happens, then great, perfect, your quid's in.
You have to be able to handle it from 2 to 3 months.
Exactly. That's when you're taking a big hit. So if you've got to carry a 2 or 3 month void to start with, you could potentially be 3.5, 4 grand down.
And the way the law's going, it's an enormous battle with the borough councils, with the county councils now. I mean, I just got more bad news this morning about it almost.
But you still came.
Planning permission and yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be doing any more on this scale. But there's a lot of battles to handle all at once.
And that's what I mean. If you minimise your risk, then life isn't so problematic. If you've invested £250,000 into a property and suddenly it becomes a bit of a burden and a bit of a weight around your neck, it can make investment look not particularly pleasant. But that's why I always ask at the beginning, you know, how many people have a portfolio, how much are they spending per property, how much are they getting back? You know, could you guys afford to take a 2-month hit on your, 50% of your properties? Would it really hit you? It would hit you, but would it hit you hard, or could you, manage it? Yeah. Whereas if you've got 2 of those at £250,000 each, and you have a 2 or 3 month void on each of them.
I've got 2 HMOs with 7 bed sits in, and I'd say 90% of them are housing benefit.
Yeah.
I'm having to wait 6 weeks to 8 weeks for the money to come in, and that's quite expensive.
But that's on, how much is the mortgage on one of those?
£2,500 each.
Right, okay. I mean, that's a big hit to take. So that's what I mean, you have to understand what you're getting into. And that's why I always say to new investors, do it cheap and cheerful. Nothing wrong with doing that in the slightest. You know, I'm guessing you've been doing this for a while and you know the risks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, there aren't many people nowadays who'll go straight in and spend on those kind of properties because, to be fair, don't take the wrong way, you don't need to at the moment. You know, plenty of cheap properties out there that are good investments.
But then, you know, I mean, I went into this with my eyes open, knowing that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
It's not.
And you know, I've not grown for 18 months.
Yeah.
I've taken 18 months in the backseat.
Yeah.
Come out of a divorce personally, and it's not the right time for me to grow. I'm coming through that now, so now I'm looking to grow again. So I've had an 18-month period where I've just ticked over.
Yeah.
And that's been fine.
Yeah,
you know,
that's great. I mean, that's the best way to do it. If, you know, end of the day, you know, as I say to people, it's not a case of buy a property from day one and within a month's time or 3 months' time or 6 months' time, you're earning a fortune.
Yeah.
But as long as each one of those houses pays for itself, you're not getting rich quick, but you're also not getting poor quick either.
Absolutely.
That's the other way to look at it. You know, as long as they're paying for themselves, it doesn't affect you financially. What you do have then is an asset. You are sat on an asset. You are suddenly worth, you know, a couple of 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, 20 million plus as your portfolio grows. So even if they're only just ticking over and you're still in the, you know, the nursery stages of it, as long as they're paying for themselves, and even if they're only paying you 30 quid a month profit, it's still profit in your pocket and you have a huge amount of assets out there. But you're right, you know, 18 months, you ain't going to retire next year, are you?
And it's not a long period of time.
No, exactly, exactly. You know, how quickly does a business go down? How many businesses within 18 months are making a huge amount of cash flow? Unless you're product-based and you're selling a product that sells straight away, you know. Best performing business to be in, ice cream. If the weather's nice, you get an ice cream van, you'll make money from day one. There aren't many other businesses like that. So.
It's all about preserving your capital, isn't it?
Exactly, and being sensible about it. Just understanding what you're doing. And as I said, no one in this room is stupid. Everyone can walk out here and buy property very quickly. Just having that little bit of common sense and saying, right, well, this is how much I can afford to do. I'm not going to be greedy because no one gets rich quickly in investments. Simple as. Certainly not in the market the way it is at the moment. You're not going to buy it tomorrow and then sell it on Monday for a fortune. It's not going to happen. Any questions before I finish? If anyone does want to sign up, there's forms over on the desk. We take down your criteria. Basically, that goes into the office on Monday. Anyone write this down. If anyone doesn't know about Rightmove for looking at properties to get some good comparables, rightmove.co.uk. Nice and simple.
There's also most price. Look at most price. That gives you actually sold prices.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of those. There's websites you can register on, and it'll actually show you properties that have sold in different areas. The other site to look at as well, it's not 100% perfect. Anyone dealt with a site called Property Snake before? Yeah. Property Snake is okay. It's not perfect. Basically what it does, if a property, say for example, went up for sale in April of this year, and it's been up for sale ever since then, what it'll show you is basically when it first went up for sale and the percentage the asking price has dropped by. So you put in a postcode, a town, whatever you want to put in there, and it'll say this house went up for sale April 08 for a valuation of 120, and now it's been dropped in value by 30%, and now it's down to 80. If there's a picture of the property on there, you can click on it, and it will take you to the actual agent selling the property. If there's no picture, then you can't get any more information. .co.uk, propertysnake.co.uk.